Welcome back. This is Dr. Jin Sung, where clinical excellence meets excellent results. Today we're going to talk about some solutions for morning fatigue. That typical patient who can't get up in the morning, needs to snooze maybe 3 or 4 or 5 times, and needs a big cup of coffee to start their day. So let's go ahead and look at a typical patient. Typical patient that comes into our office tend to be female. They have low blood pressure, low blood sugar, high stress, either from work, relationship, school, and they need a lot of coffee to sustain themselves throughout the day. So that would be a typical patient. So this little graph right here is what we call a salivary cortisol test. So your first morning cortisol, when you get up in the morning, should be very high. So it should be up in this zone right in here. As the day goes on, it'll drop a little bit and come down, and by nighttime it should drop and you should be able to fall asleep. Cortisol is inversely related to melatonin. Melatonin is what makes you sleep, so melatonin will be high at nighttime and low in the morning. Okay, so it's inversely related to melatonin. Now, when we do a salivary cortisol test for a patient who has morning fatigue, oftentimes they come in and their morning cortisol will not fall in here, but they may fall right about here. And then around noontime, it seems to be okay. It's kind of falling in here. And oftentimes afternoon, it drops down again. And sometimes in the evening, the cortisol can be high. All right. So instead of coming down, they kind of go through this wavy movement throughout the day. And that's what we will find on a cortisol test in the morning for some patients on a salivary cortisol test. Now, some solutions here. Now, there's many different reasons why someone might have low cortisol, but we're just talking about the average patient. Morning fatigue solutions. First of all, you have to reduce the stress. You have to identify what your stressors are and try to minimize those stressors in your life. That's just very obvious, right? Number 2, you have to be able to sleep at a normal time or a normal schedule daily. Most people will need between 7 and 9 hours per night. People who have autoimmune disease or health conditions, they may need 9 to 10 hours or 11 hours of sleep in order to heal. But typically, 7 to 9 hours is optimal in terms of function throughout the day. Number 3, 5 minutes of aggressive exercise upon awakening. So when you get up, roll out of bed, what you do is you do 20 squats, 10 push-ups, 30 jumping jacks, and you do something for about 5 minutes. And the reason why we do that is you're retraining your body to produce cortisol first thing in the morning. So exercise or intense exercise will bump up your cortisol first thing in the morning. So it's like having a cup of coffee. 5 minutes of aggressive exercise, right? Kind of like a HIIT exercise program for 5 minutes. It will retrain how your body will produce cortisol in the morning. Number 4, cold showers. You can do 1 to 2 minutes in a cold shower. That will also release cortisol and epinephrine and catecholamines and things that will just boost your energy first thing in the morning. Okay? Number 5, licorice or Glycyrrhiza Glabra. Licorice can be used for patients who have issues with low cortisol. So first thing in the morning when you get up, you can take about 50 to 100 milligrams of licorice root, and that will help increase cortisol first thing in the morning. You can also use it at a time of day, if you did testing, around that afternoon lull where you get fatigued. You can use a little bit at that time. I would recommend maybe half the dosage of what you used first thing in the morning. Okay? With licorice root, though, you don't want to use it for extended periods of time or forever. For those people who have hypertension, you have to be cautious because it can increase blood pressure. Issues with potassium or aldosterone, which is another hormone. So you want to be able to monitor this, right? or work with a healthcare provider who understands how to use licorice root. Another thing you can use is adaptogenic herbs. Adaptogenic herbs like Panaz, Ginseng, right? You can also use ashwagandha, holy basil, rhodiola, eleuthero. These are all adaptogenic herbs that can help modulate cortisol production. So adaptogenic means that if something is too high, it'll kind of normalize it. If it's too low, it'll bring it back into a normal standard. So you can use adaptogenic herbs to kind of modulate your cortisol rhythm throughout the day. Oftentimes, companies will produce products that have all of them together, and they recommend, 1 capsule a day. So if that's the case, I would use 1 capsule twice a day and see how you do and see if there's any improvement. You can do higher doses of adaptogenic herbs to see if there's improvement. However, again, with herbs, you want to use get the help of a healthcare provider who understands how to use herbs to help you impact low morning cortisol. But the first thing you should do is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you can probably try licorice and then adaptogenic herbs. Cut out the coffee, cut out aids that help you improve energy first thing in the morning. Try to use this natural substances or natural herbs that can help you benefit from low morning cortisol. All right, my name is Dr. Jin Sung, where clinical excellence meets excellent results. And we'll see you guys next week on the healthy side. Have an awesome day.